Welcome to math. Let's do this. Today we're going to be talking about decimals. We're going to be talking about decimals that get even smaller than tenths. What do you think that might be? Well, let's look at what we've been talking about so far. What number is that? 132.4. 132.4 because the 1 is in the 100 spot, 3's in the 10 spot, 2's in the 1 spot, 4's in the 10th spot. 132.4. So it looks kind of like this when you see numbers like that. So for instance, if we saw the number 32.3, well, you'd think about how many tens are there? 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. How many ones? 2. 1, 2. How many tenths? 3. 1, 2, 3. But here's the kind of the thing we're going to be talking about today that's a little bit like the next level. Hundredths. What if there's one more spot over there? Then it would say 32.35, not just 32.3, but 32.35, because remember the 3 is actually tenths. 5 are hundredths, like dimes and pennies. 32.35, how many hundredths? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we're just keep going. Kind of like when you go this direction, the numbers each time they get 10 times as big. 10 times, because next comes hundreds, then thousands, then 10,000s. This way they get 10 times as small. So it's the same thing. Hundreds, 10 times as small as tens, 10 times as small as ones, 10 times as small as tenths, and then 10 times the size of a tenth is 100th. So it might look kind of like this with hundredths. If that was the whole, then that's the tenths, and these little guys are the hundredths. They're like the little pennies that you can't even spend anymore. They're not worth anything because they're so tiny. There's the whole, tenths, hundredths. And if we had tens, it'd be 10 times the size of that. If we had hundreds, it'd be 10 times the size of that until it just got gigantic. But if that's 1, these are tenths, and these are hundredths. Just like in fractions, we have a tenth and a hundredth. So a hundredth in fractions is 100th in decimals. Let's look at another number like that. 40, the next one says 46.23. What's in the 10 spot? 4. How many tens do we have? We've got 4 of them. 10, 20, 30, 40. Each 4 is worth 10. So that 4 is actually worth 40. How many ones? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that 6 is worth 6 because they're just ones. What does the 2 mean? 46.23. What's the 2 mean? That's the tenths spot. So each one is worth a tenth. So it's 0.2. What about the 3 over here? Notice how each one of these is 0.01. Those are in the hundredth spots. Hundredth spots. So we got the 10 spot, the 1 spot, the tenths spot right after the decimal point, and then the hundredth spot. So each one is worth 0.01, 0.01, 0.01. They're tiny little guys. So for this guy, remember that number we said? 132.4? What if we just put, let's say, 7 there? So it's going to add a 7. And that's going to be in the hundredths spot. 132.47. So that number's a little bit more than 132.4. If you have like 7 of those little hundredths more. It's like adding 7 little pennies more. You're going to see some problems like this on your math today. And it says, put the decimal number there. So we just count up. Oh, what are these? These are tenths. See how there's a 1 in the tenth spot? How many tenths do we have? 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be 0.3. But is that the answer? No, because we've got some hundredths. How many hundredths? 1, 2, 3, 4. Got 4 hundredths. So that answer to that one is 0, because we have no ones, 0.34. Let's do the next one. How many tenths? Well, we've got 2. Do we have any ones? No. So it's going to be 0.2. But do we have any hundredths we can add after that too? Heck yeah, we do. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going to be 0.2, and then what comes after the 2? In the hundredth spot, we've got 6 of them. 0.26. So if we're thinking about money, it'd be like, I've got no dollars. I've got 2 dimes, because that's the 10th spot. And I've got 6 pennies, 100th spot. No, like how there are 100 pennies in a dollar. 0.26. Now let's go to the next one. Ooh, I immediately notice I've got some ones. How many ones? 2. So let's write the 2 down. And the decimal point always goes after the 1 spot. Because that means, oh, we're getting even smaller than a 1. We're getting into decimals. So it's going to be 2 point something. Well, how many tenths do we have? 1, 2, 3. So next, just put 3 in the 10th spot. So now we've got 2.3. And now how many hundredths? 0.01, that's a hundredth. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. So you put 4 in the what spot? Hundredth spot. So you just put them in the spots. 2 in the 1 spot, 3 in the 10 spot, 4 in the hundredths spot. And when you say that out loud, you just say 2.34. That's the only thing that's kind of confusing about it. Is you might say 2.3 and then something that's 2.34. But just write them in the right spots and then just read what it says. If you have 3 in the 10th spot, you say 2.3. But then if you put in some hundredths, you say 2.34. You're just going to kind of get used to how that works with decimals. Let's go to the next one. Uh-oh, check it out. We've got tens. How many tens? 3. Any ones? Yeah, we got 2 of them. 32. I'm going to immediately put the decimal point right after the 1 spot. 32 point what? Do we have any tenths? Yeah, I've got 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. And then, any hundredths? Just 1. And once I put everything in the right spot, and I finish writing my number, then I can read it out loud. It says 32.31. You just say point for the decimal. 32.31. 3 tens, 2 ones, 3 tenths, 100. So the last thing I'm going to do today is just show you something that looks like this. Remember we used to do this stuff with place value in the beginning of the year? Makes me almost kind of sad to think about it. It seems so long ago. You guys have progressed so far in math. Okay, let's just put down what each number represents. This is going to be the final thing you're going to do today. What's that 4 represent? Does that just mean 4? No, it doesn't, because it's in the what spot? Hundreds. That's 400 right there. It's like $400 bills. You ever had $400 bills at the same time? That's worth 400 right there, because that's in the 100 spot. What's this one worth? That 5. It's in the 10 spot, so it's worth 50. What about the 2? What's that mean? Well, what place is it in? Or what spot? It's in the 1's place. The 1 spot. So it's just means 2. You got 2 there. So it's 400 plus 50 plus 2. What's that little 3 mean? What's that? Is that a 3? It's not, doesn't just mean 3 because it's in the 10ths spot. So it's 0.3. It's less than 1, so you got to say it's not even 1. It's 0 point something. It's 0.3. Just put the 3 in the 10th spot. Now we're going to the little tiny, tiny, tiny 100th spot. They're so little and cute. What's in the 100th spot? A 1. So what is it? What's that 1 represent? What's the value of that 1? What are they talking about? What's the value of all these numbers? What's the value of the 1? It's just 100th, which is 0.01. Just a little 100th. Notice how it's not even worth a 10th. It's just worth a little 100th. So you got to say 0.01. Hundredths are just little tiny guys. 0.01. Just way over there. Just a little guy. All right, guys. So today you're going to be working on, let's see, pages 19 to 21 in your math workbook. And it should be really similar to stuff we just looked at. Talking about what place is something in. Is it the tens place, the tenths place? And what's the value? Well, if it's in the hundredths place and it's a 1, it's just worth 100th. All right, you can do it. Good luck. Have a great weekend after this, too.